I am back with another review of Dark Side of the Ring. This time I am talking about the episode of Samoa Joe versus the Necro Butcher in their infamous death match from way back in 2005. Now, for me as a wrestling fan, I'm not really a deathmatch connoisseur. I'm not a deathmatch Negro. I can appreciate hardcore wrestling. I can appreciate hard-hitting wrestling, but death matches have never been my thing. So I'm not as familiar with the Necro Butcher. I know he had a role in The Wrestler, and that kind of happened partially as a result of this and him getting a chance to get into ROH. But we rewind back to the early 2000s, the independent scene. We hear the story of the Necro Butcher, and it is fascinating hearing from him, talking about his childhood, being bullied, abused, his father's death, and it does give you a good background for the type of person that he is. And then we talk about Samoa Joe, personally one of my favorite wrestlers of the last 20 years. Joe is amazing from TNA to NXT, AEW currently, but at this point he is, relatively, not too long ago, came off of being the longest reigning ROH champion ever. One of the best, had, a classic with CM Punk. Joe had an aura to him on the independent scene and in Ring of Honor, and that plays into the match that he has with Necro. An incident happens at a Chikara show. Necro in Madman Pondo beat the shit out of some ROH trainees. That leads to the match being built up. And Joe is great during his interview sections because he's almost like, hey, I ain't really know what was happening. I wasn't these dudes' mentors. They were just guys. I wasn't training people in the ROH dojo. I wasn't doing that. For Joe, it really did seem like he was, doing his job as a wrestler, which was getting hyped up and amping up the match. And for Necro on his end, it is him, basically having a point to prove and trying to prove himself. And so these two people were in these different headspaces. And Joe, my favorite line from Joe is his current wife, then his girlfriend, lived in Philadelphia, and he was basically like, look, I took this booking, I'm trying to get some ass after the show. That's basically where his mind was. And so you see where their states are, but this is a showcase and kind of a flashpoint moment for independent wrestling. The match itself is brutal. It is hard hitting. It is damn near hard to watch, but it's so fascinating. Like I said, deathmatch wrestling, I think it can go too far. I think it is just a little, not my thing, but this is, again, it's interesting to watch, and it was good getting the background of both Necro and seeing where his life and his career went, and then, of course, knowing where Joe was. Around this time, Joe was pretty much finishing up with Ring of Honor and about to go to TNA, have his run there. Then we would see him, blossom into a star, get to WWE, now he's in AEW, and Joe himself in the interviews, you just see the contrast. Joe looks all healthy and bright, and Necro, because he's had, a rougher path in life, he has, his head is all scarred up, and also recently, within the last 5 years, he had a battle with cancer. Thankfully, he was able to get over that, but it's just interesting. I think this is just a showcase and kind of a little moment for where independent wrestling was in the 2000s, that moment. And I like some of the interviewees like Eddie Kingston and Rob Naylor, who would let you know there was a little bit of a hold their nose up to them nature to Ring of Honor fans on their message boards. And wow, not much has changed. It's just it happened on message boards as opposed to happening on social media that it would today. You definitely do have WWE fans who kind of look at AEW as lesser. You look at AEW fans, they have that view of WWE, and it's weird. We never change. As fans, we never change. And so the episode gets into detail of the match. They're remembering the match 21 years ago. That's insane to think about. We're all getting old, but this was a good episode. And I think it's not one of those episodes that is sad or anything like that, because Joe is in a good place in his life and Necro Butcher is in a good place in his life. And does this make me want to go and watch some classic death matches from the 2000s from CZW and all these other independents and IWA Mid-South? Not really, not my thing. This match was, so to give it a little more background, This match was promoted by Ian Rotten, of course, of IWA Mid-South. You know, thank God nobody got hepatitis. Ian Rotten is, of course, a noted janky-ass wrestling promoter. And it happens in the ECW arena, which gives it all the more aura. And you really do get the sense that for Necro Butcher, he knows he's not going to the WWE. He knows that's not where his life is going to go. So this really is his big moment. And for Joe, not necessarily saying this is a stepping stone, but this is just a part of the larger career that Samoa Joe has had. And for these indie guys who came up on that hard hustle, it is a hard hustle being an independent wrestler. Being a deathmatch wrestler is even harder. Like, you're not getting paid those big dollars that you would in a WWE or back then a TNA even, or hell, like, you're not getting the AEW money now. Like, it is a hard hustle, and to make that your life, you really got to be in it for the love of the game. And Necro was in it for the love of the game. And you do gain a little bit of an appreciation for him as a wrestler and as a person. Of course, unless Joe has like a huge scandal, nothing's going to dampen my love and appreciation for Samoa Joe. So this was another solid episode. Like I said, the talking heads in this one, Madman Pondo, Eddie Kingston, Bryce Renbro, the referee for AEW, Rob Naylor. Like, there were a lot of people who were speaking, and they spoke fondly of the match and just the environment that was built, because there was this little chatter that Joe didn't like Necro. Again, Joe, no idea that this shit was happening. Ian Rotten stoking the flames, the internet and fans building it up. And so by the time we get to the match, there was an environment like, oh shit, somebody might die from this match. And it made it, for those fans at that time, it made it even better. And so for me, this is another solid episode of Dark Side of the Ring. Learned something new, learned about this very important independent match. And I think Joe, as well as Necro, it is something that's gonna forever tie them together. Joe, along with guys like CM Punk and Bryan Danielson, they are like maybe the shining example of, hey, if you are an independent wrestler, there's a chance. Maybe it doesn't happen, but there is a chance that you could wind up getting to those bigger stages. And when Joe made it to WWE, when, even with Punk, even though people may not have the best opinion of Punk these days, Bryan Danielson, when they made it, it is a sign that, hey, there is a path to get to the bigger stage if you were to go to the independents. And I think that's just another good lesson to get from the show. But yeah, I enjoyed it. It was a very violent episode, but I really did enjoy it. And I think this season of Dark Side of the Ring, it's getting off to a really good start. The TNA episodes about TNA and Jeff Jarrett, those were good. This episode was good. So yeah, I'm looking forward to the rest of the season to see how things shake out. But that's what I thought of this episode of Dark Side of the Ring. If you saw this episode, let me know what you think, and I will catch you guys with another review later.